I'm David Rose, and this is my video series, David Does, where we are exploring new interesting topics, traveling to cool cities, or just doing things that I've never done before. The goal for my trip is to identify and find examples of the 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting. I'm using a book by an author, Professor Henry Plumer, as my guide to try to study what these 9 qualities of light are and how we could utilize them in North American architecture, or just to examine them more closely. Before we jump into those 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting, I need to start off by identifying my Scandinavian design interests. I've always had a genuine interest in this part of the world, and it's based off of these 4 particular items: innovative architecture, the northern lights, beautiful landscapes, and timeless furniture. There's also this notion of a light phenomenon that happens in this part of the world. There is such a drastic difference of daylight that occurs throughout the year in this part of the world. The winter solstice, or December 21st, receives very little daylight, and the summer solstice, June 21st, receives drastic amount of daylight. Part of my exploration here is to understand how the architecture responds to this drastic difference in daylight. So the 3 red dots that are shown there are the 3 countries that I'll be visiting. Lastly, there's this notion of light health. WELL certification focuses on the physical environment that can benefit the health, well-being, and performance of its people. According to WELL, the exposure to adequate levels of sunlight is critical for health and well-being. Proximity to windows, outdoor views, and daylight in indoor spaces are some of the most sought-after elements of design. The 3 countries I'll be visiting on my trip are Iceland, Norway, and Denmark. Now let's look at the 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting. For clarification, we'll just identify the qualities and we'll get into the actual definitions later on in the video. Whiteness, rhythm, journey, carving, forest, tranquility, transiency, diffusion, and finally, darkness. After each example that we find, we'll fill in this chart, and hopefully by the end, we'll have all 9 represented by a modern or contemporary example of architecture. Today, I'm losing my hat. Oh my God. Today we're in Reykjavik, Iceland, exploring the Harpa Concert Hall behind me. So let's go in and take a look. The Harpa Concert Hall is designed by Henning Larsen Architects, based out of Denmark. The project was complete in 2011, and the site is right in the heart of Reykjavik. So the first quality of Nordic daylighting that I found is rhythm, the embodiment of the pulse of nature in vibrating patterns of light. And this is seen most dramatically by the geometric facade. Of course, the facade is the key identifier in this building. It pulls everyone to it. It's such a cool example of contemporary architecture. The dichroic film on certain panes of glass offer unique and transformative color throughout the day. I thought that was really interesting. And of course, at night, it glows. This atrium is absolutely incredible, and it really brings people together. And of course, I say that, and there's nobody in here. But I swear, the first floor lobby had tons of people gathering. The building itself is such an economic driver for the city and the country, bringing in so many global events and performances to the city. So of course in Iceland, you have to rent a car. That is essential to navigate around the island and to explore what you want. So my friend and I rented this Land Rover Defender, which was really cool. It was the perfect vehicle to travel around the Arctic tundra that is Iceland. Also, my hair was a mess that day. This is the drive to our first stop. We came across this very interesting pier that overlooks the Atlantic Ocean, and the water crashing against the rocks was beautiful. Of course, it was freezing there. I couldn't believe it. So many layers, and we couldn't escape the cold. It was brutal. But the best way to escape the cold is to get in really hot water. And so that's what we did first. We went to the Blue Lagoon. Everybody says it's really touristy, but yeah, we're tourists. Who cares, you know? I mean, it was such a cool place to go see. So the water itself is heated by geothermal volcanic heat from under the ground. The blue water is from various minerals, including sulfur and silica that's in the water. It was a very healing experience and the best way to spend the day when considering the temperatures were in the 40s Fahrenheit. It was a great experience and I would highly recommend. So the city of Reykjavik is quite small actually, and we stayed at an Airbnb within the city. Everything was walkable. It was great. The main cathedral is called Hallgrímskirkja by Guðjón Samuelsson. Please know my Icelandic is slim to none, okay? We only saw the outside of the building because we went after hours, so I couldn't actually see the interior, but the facade itself was quite spectacular. To end the day, we enjoyed some fantastic cocktails at a place called Duck Rose. But look at that, the garnishes from our cocktails were actual roses. Mine was a cucumber gin cocktail, and the garnish itself was frozen cucumbers. I'm going back there next time I go, for sure. This day became our driving day. Our first stop was only about 10 minutes outside the city to the Church of Seltjarnarnes by architect Porter Jornsson. So Seltjarnarnes is actually a whole different city adjacent to Reykjavik. So this church was built in 1989 and is constructed of a series of different faceted roof panels. This project is the second quality of Nordic daylighting, which is diffusion, the widespread distribution and softened glare of scarce natural light. Considering the minimal amount of window area in this space, so much of the daylighting is reflected off of the ceiling planes, and the use of light color materials helps to diffuse that light across the volume of space. So you cannot come to Iceland and not experience the natural beauty. So we did what's called the Golden Circle, which is just outside of Reykjavik, and our first stop was Kirid Crater. This is a natural formation. You park right next to the crater itself, pay a minimal fee, and it was a pretty cool sight. Next along the Golden Circle was our stop at Friedheimer, which is a restaurant, and what's notable about this place is they grow all of their own tomatoes in-house. So the restaurant itself has tables surrounded by tomato vines. This is a photo of our lunch. Of course, tomato soup. I had a Bloody Mary, which was really sweet as opposed to being, a savory Bloody Mary like what you'd find here in the States. And then for my actual meal was what they call a tomato tortilla, but effectively it was a tomato pizza with a pesto base and then tons of vegetables on top. Okay, at Gullfoss Falls right now. From the parking lot, it looks absolutely amazing. Just wait till we get up there. Here is my chart of the 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting. We found 2 out of the 9, so 7 more to go. Next up, I'm heading to Oslo, Norway, where we continue the hunt for the 9 qualities of Nordic daylighting. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. See you soon.